entertainer, an actor, and a singer. I studied law at the University of Lagos. I started out acting in 2012 in Tinsel, and I'm still presently on the show. Since then till now, I've been in a couple of movies and short films. I recently shot a short film called Oriki. I started out music as well in 2015. I've dropped over 3 singles, and I recently dropped a single called Disco, and I just shot the video for it, and it's out now.
You like my reggae, you like my blues.
My name is Yemisi Fancy. This is how I got here. After graduation, as a matter of fact, I'd been acting while I was in school. So it wasn't really like I started acting after school. Sometimes I will have to like short classes to go on sets, and also leaving school was like giving me ample time to do every other thing that I wanted to do. While I was in school as well, I had a little course in cosmetology and beauty therapy. So sometimes, just sometimes when I want to like make a little cash, I just make hair and there, fix nails, do all that, just by the side, nothing serious. Yes, I did that for a while after school. Okay, when I first started, it was almost impossible because as a law student, you have to like read 10 hours every day. So I gave myself like a target. I told myself that between my first year to my third year, I wanted to have a certain amount, a level of CGPA that can give me the chance to play and nothing will happen. So I kind of like started setting target for myself that at some point, maybe if I'm like on a 4 point something, I can play and around and everything. And if I drop, it's not going to affect my degree in any way. So I gave myself that target. There was a time I didn't do any of these things, like my first year, my second year, my third year. I started doing this from my 400 level. At my 400 level, I was able to build my GP to a certain point that I wasn't even scared anymore, whether I was reading 10 hours every day or not, because I built it to a point. So it gave me the chance. When I went to learn a few things like cosmetology and stuff, it was during my break, so I had the chance to go to a beauty school. In my 400 level, I went to a film school in Lagos. I went to Royal Art at some point during my break, and it kind of like ran into school time a bit, but I wasn't really bothered because I've spent so much time trying to build my GPA, so it gave me like a huge chance to do all of that. When I was studying law, the thing is, Nigeria is a problem when it comes to these things. Sometimes you're so enthusiastic about being a medical doctor, being a lawyer, and then you start studying the course. It gets stressful. I went to a federal school. I didn't go to a private university. So everything is like 10 times harder than it will be for someone going to a private school. And I was, even at my 300 level, I would do my internship in some law firms. And I had this, when I leave school, I was going to practice for some time. But then I told myself that I was going to learn. I was going to still do what I do, try a bit of acting, try a little bit of singing, but I was going to focus on law. But then what even pushed me more into this was when I left school, I had like a challenge of going to law school because then Boko Haram was really serious. Posting me to the north, they kept posting me to Kano State. So every other time I got posted to Kano, my father would say, no, you can't go. So instead of me just sitting back at home, waiting for something to happen, I just started doing all this. So that was even what gave me the opportunity to give it because I had time. I was posted twice, I think I was posted twice to Kano, and I couldn't go. I had to resort into going for my service at some point in River State. So during those times, it gave me the chance to go for auditions. I didn't have anything disturbing me anymore. I could go to the studio. I could do a lot of things. Even my law school is still pending till now. But I just, well, the most production that I did while I was in school was still Tinsel because it's like a daily show. So, but in between, I've had like a movie or two that I've been on, not actually as a lead, which gave me time for school. So it was more like playing like a supporting role. So it gave me time. It wasn't like every day I was going in set. I still had like a little time to do other stuff. I think my first audition was still Tinsel, and I went because of one of my friends. She's like an old friend. She just inspired me that, why are you just sitting here? I know that you can do these things. Why are you just sitting here? Why not just spreading your wings and trying other things? So I was like, okay, let me try. So what should I try? Oh, Tinsel audition is coming. That was in like 2010, so 2010, 11. Why don't you just try it? And I'm like, I don't know. I got there. The first time I got to the audition venue, they told me that I needed a 5x7 picture, which I didn't have. So I told myself that maybe this is God just telling me this is not for you. Just pack your bag and go home. But when I got home, I just thought about it again, that what do I have to lose? I've never had like a picture before like that, like going to a studio to take a picture of myself. So I went to the studio anyways, let me just take the picture. What's the worst that can happen? So I went there. And the next day, luckily for me, it was like less crowd compared to the day I went before. I auditioned and I didn't even get a call back like until after 3 months. So I'd even forgotten about it. I was like, And after like a year, I got a call to come for another reading before I got my role. Yes, I went for a lot of auditions that sometimes it's tiring when you go for auditions and you look at the number, you're like the number 100, 200, and you're like, everybody's struggling to get into the room, to audition and everything. At some point, I actually stopped going for auditions and I decided to go to a film school, start doing small monologues here and there and just engage myself and start trying to see if I could do some show reels instead of chilling and just going for auditions. So yes, I went for a couple of auditions. Some you get called, they'll tell you you're going to shoot and you'd never shoot. Some you would shoot and the film would never come out. A couple of them like that. I was discouraged. At some point I was like, is there really any future in this thing? Is this how I will keep going for auditions and keep waiting for a particular person to give me verdicts and act like that is going to determine what my destiny or my life is going to be about? There was even this audition I went for, and that kind of just got me really discouraged. I went, it was just a soap opera. I think it was somewhere in Surrey. And I got into the room. I didn't do anything. I had not even read. I just got into the room and the guy, it was one guy in the panel and just looked at me and was like, why are you here? And I looked at myself, I looked at everybody like, did I do something? And he was like, this is not for you. Your mates are not here. How old are you? I told him my age at the time. And he said, oh, you look way younger than your age. Your mates are probably still leaving high school or something. What are you doing here? I looked around. I was like, I just felt like maybe I did something or the guy saw me and he wanted to say something hurtful. But at the time, I just said, let me just focus on my reading. And then when I read and I left, at some point it all came to my head and I was thinking about it again, that why would this guy just tell me all this loads of crap? Why would I come to actually show you my craft, and before I would even say a word, you say all these hurtful things? And I just told myself that maybe I should just chill for a bit, or maybe I should just focus and just finish school. But I was still shooting Tinsel, so it just kind of like put me in a place like, okay, you're still doing something. So at some point I was very discouraged. At some point I wasn't even going for auditions, I wasn't doing anything, I was just on my own. But then I told myself that I was going to diversify and do more stuff to give me room. That's how I started music, and I started doing music little by little here and there. And since then, I thank God.
Yemisi baby. The love I get for you, sweet as sugar cane. Sweet as sugar, sweet as sugar cane. The love you get for me, smooth as Mary. love you, Jeje.
When I first started music, I started for just out of fun. I wrote my first song probably when I was in SS1. I was just having fun, and I just wrote a song, and I just sang the song for my classmates, and I was just having fun. And the thought of taking it professionally actually started in 2015, and the thought to do it professionally came from me going on sets, and I didn't get a good treatment from that set. And someone just told me, why don't you just do other things? You have just one life. Why are you boxing yourself? You can do so many other things. Why don't you just try? And I just went. I said, okay, that's fine. I just went. I talked to one of my producer friends. We just came up with a song. I hit the song, just doing the song, having fun with the song. And I released it on my birthday, just having fun. And just luckily and gracefully, there's a word like that, someone heard it and really liked it and called me and said, oh, he's actually starting a record company. And he needed new acts, and he wanted to sign me up as one of his acts. And that was how I started music professionally. So I wasn't just doing it for myself, now I'm doing it for a company. And I'm doing it with a company. I'm not just Maestro Entertainment. I started as fun, but now it's more professional for me than fun.
Success, problem kid.
Whether music came easily for me, well, to some people they say yes, that it came easily for me. Like I didn't really, do that much but then I've done a lot of things. At some point, I was a dancer. I was in a dance group, and it was like a professional dance group where we resume every Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. We do rehearsals, and we would practice for shows and practice for music artists and everything. So somehow, directly or indirectly, I've kind of like been in that line. I was just the person at the back. I wasn't really the person in the forefront. So me doing music now is just like, you're not the girl at the back and you're not the person dancing for someone. You're actually the person singing and having dancers dance with her, sort of kind of thing. So I wouldn't really say it came that easily, but yes, I thank God it did. I think Tinsel brought me to limelight. After Tinsel, I've done a couple of other stuff that people have seen me do, but that role that people got to know, oh, this girl is an artist, I would say it's Tinsel. The major challenge starting out in this business, show business, I think the first challenge is usually self-doubt before everything else. When you get into the industry, there's still going to be other things that you have to face. But first is self-doubt, because show business requires a level of acceptance from a large amount of people, and that acceptance is what suffices to you as growth. So first, it's like the need to conquer the self-doubt in myself that, okay, you can actually do this. And the challenges that came with it is putting yourself out there. It comes a lot of things. It comes with having a thick skin, because a lot of people are going to say a lot of things about you. A lot of people are going to have an opinion about your life, because what they see is what you show them. And having a thick skin, a lot of people don't have it. When I first started, I didn't have it. If anybody says one thing about me, I'm thinking about it, sometimes I'll feel bad and everything. But over time, I got to, that kind of like went away. And now when I do something, I want people to say good things about it. But even if I hear something not so good about it, I know how to just dust it off and just say, okay, this is like constructive criticism, instead of saying that this is somebody saying bad things about me. And the challenges in music comes with also being a female artist. Sometimes it's a man's world. I like to say that a lot. Guys kind of like get things easier than we ladies, because You want to shoot a music video, for example. You are a girl, you want to look nice. You want to have your hair done, your makeup, your clothes, your shoes have to be matching something. And guys just wear a pair of jeans, their top, and you're good to go. And you have a lot more impressing to do. So, but with time, it still comes to having a thick skin. You don't really care whether you're female anymore. You just want to do your thing and get your acceptance from people. I have role models for different reasons. When it comes to music, I have a couple of people that I look up to rather, because of one thing or the other. I look up to Two-Face because Two-Face has been in the industry for as long as I can remember, and is still relevant till now. That comes with a certain amount of grace that doesn't just fly on people. So I look at him and I'm like, okay, this guy is actually evergreen. Anything it does just blows us away. And I look up to Tiwa Savage as well because she's a woman. She's not a guy, but she seems to know how to put things together. She knows how to put a craft together, knows how to balance family and work. I look up to Madam Tawa Jailaset as well because I think she has come a long way in the industry, and she's this figure, she's this motherly figure that you see her and you just feel the need to want to talk to her like she's your mother. I have a lot of people that I look up to rather for so many reasons. Well, I have different ways of preparing actually, but I always use my mirror. Anything I want to play, I just stand in front of the mirror. Most of the time, when there's some roles that as a person, as an actor, it's probably your comfort zone. You know that, oh, I've played this before, I know how to go around it. But when you have some roles that you have never played before, you're even scared of taking up the script, like, am I going to mess this up? Am I going to do it well? I just go on YouTube and look for people that have done the same role, watch their movies, watch their monologues and stuff, and then try to do the same thing in the mirror and see how I look, if I'm actually playing the character well enough. I don't think so. The only thing is you just have to prepare your mind that TV series sometimes take longer time to shoot, but when it comes to roles, it's like if someone tells you you're playing a housewife or you're playing a strong woman, it's not going to be different in film, it's not going to be different in a series. It's the same role that you're playing, it's just the time that is different. What I do to improve myself is I look at the people that I look up to. I look at what they're doing right and I look at what they're not doing right. I try to emulate the things that they're doing right, and I try to check out what their shortfalls are and how not to fall into that category. Because if I look up to somebody that is really doing great and I can emulate the right things that he or she is doing, and I know what this person is not doing right and I can correct those things, it makes me better, directly or indirectly, than the person. With time, people get to see that. So that's what I do. I just look at people that I look up to. I look at what they're doing right. I emulate that, and I look at the things that they're doing wrong, and I try not to fall into that category. That keeps me going. That helps me to be better. Happiness, happiness, money, love, basically, happiness, peace. Well, when people recognize me, it doesn't really make me proud because I tell everybody every time that I see my show business as a 9 to 5 for me. Just the same way you go to your office and you come back in the evening, that's how I see my show business. I see it like I'm going to work. Yes, it comes with fame, and all I need to know is how to balance it. It doesn't make me proud in any way. It just makes it more fun that people know what you do and they appreciate you for doing it. Challenging role I've played would have to be a character I played this year. The character is a 16-year-old that was raped by a family member, like a neighbor rather. So I played the character of someone that was actually suffering from domestic violence from family, because it was something that came from the mother. It was the mother that pushed the daughter out there to fall into that pitfall. So it was challenging because it was a different kind of story for me, seeing something like that come from family, and I had to be sad a little bit to play that role because it's not out yet, but it was like a sad character to play. It was a very, very sad character. I don't think I smiled in that short film for a second. So yeah, I think it was the most challenging short film, or film rather, that I shot. So if you're in school and you're very talented and you are trying hard to strike a balance between school, acting, music, my first advice would always be that you can't really do a lot of things at the same time. Sometimes you have to put some things, you just have to lay low with some things while you work on the other. I can't underestimate the power of education, of getting a formal education. You have to go to school. So first, I think you should first focus on school. Focus on school. While you are still in school, you can try to still train yourself. You can go to film schools during your breaks. You can still try out stuff. Internet is available to everybody now. You can go on YouTube and even self-train yourself. So when you're getting done with school, you can know what you are really good at, what your strength is, and what you really, really love to do, and what you really practice. And most importantly, I always put the God factor in it, because even though you know how to balance, sometimes God helps us to balance. Just pray that God gives you that direction so you don't miss your way along the line. But just first focus on school and get yourself trained. And when you get trained, you know your strength, and then you go for it. And with God, all things are possible.